What's God been like teaching you specifically? Like, I'd love to hear, like, are you reading anything really inspiring? Like what's been going on just recently with you?
Man, uh, there's nothing that I'm reading right now that comes to mind,
Sure.
that is sticking out. I think, I don't know, like I said, like, I feel like me and my wife have been like in a really good rhythm of like communicating and,
Yeah.
uh, if you're married, you kind of know that sometimes you have like really, like where you're constantly like communicating. And we're like in a season where I feel like the Lord is just like teaching both of us a lot. And it's kind of like a lot of just like conversations that we're having with each other. We just started fostering
Oh,
this
wow.
past summer. And so even in that, there's been just a lot that the Lord is, I don't know, gracing over our family and kind of like depositing, I don't know, just like peace over us in that season. And
Yeah.
it is like a challenge and there's a lot that like comes with it, but I think the biggest thing that the Lord is like, I don't know, maybe this is like even pertains to the election or whatever. Biggest thing that the Lord has been like pushing on us this past several months is just the relinquishing of like control and like just like trusting God. And I know that that's a basic Christian thing. That's
Sure.
like, Christianity 101, trust God.
Right.
Uh, but in my life, I know that I can be a control freak. I like to know what's coming. I like to know, like, I like to have all my ducks in a row and knows what's happening. And God is just like reminding me constantly of just his grace and and the fact like that we can just kind of like rest in him. We've seen it, with this fostering process and kind of all the unknowns that kind of come along with that. And being a parent in general, like with my own two kids that we have, is it's a constant wrestling match of like trust
Yeah.
and wanting to gain control and then like releasing the trust and wanting to gain control. And so that's probably the biggest, I don't know, the biggest headline over like our family right now has been that
Yeah.
trust, that trust factor.
Sure. A little bit of a, detour, but I'd love to hear if you'd be open for it. Like, what inspired you guys to foster? Like, if you'd be okay sharing about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that was on our heart for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, Started off like being like a seed that was planted in Meredith's spirit, my wife. And at first I was very much like, I am not cut out for that.
Yeah.
I, I was just like, that sounds too scary for me. And ultimately, definitely like talked it out with her and just a lot of like kind of fasting and praying for us.
Yeah.
This is where, we felt like the Lord was like leading us. And so back in November is when we started the process, like the licensing process.
Mm.
And it took several months, but in April we got licensed. And I think the biggest thing for us, or at least like the biggest thing for me, I was scared about is like me and my wife both work weird jobs, like our careers are just not normal, structured. Every week looks different. Every day is, up in the air of like what we're doing and if we're going to be in town or out of town. And so for me, I was very much like, I don't even know how we could do this,
Yeah.
you know, how this would like work. Um, and we're both so busy and all this stuff. And just felt like this is going to be like too overwhelming. And I think one of the biggest things that we've learned just in the process, and we look back in our marriage, our own lives, we can see how the Lord is like always doing this. But like when we say yes, and when we're like obedient to the stuff that He puts on our heart, He expands our bandwidth to be able to meet whatever He's calling us to do, you know? And so we've seen that already to where like even having, our foster son with us, it hasn't been this overwhelming, oh, like every day is survival mode.
Yeah.
And that's not to say it's, it's just super easy or anything like that. Like we have to be intentional with our time. We have to figure out, there's a lot of moving pieces, but the moment that we like just said yes, I feel like the Lord like expanded our bandwidth, expanded our capacity to be able to do it.